Joining us now is rapper and activist Killer Mike, who told us in the commercial break we should call him Michael on TV because his mom would appreciate it. And Michael, we are so happy to have you. And may I just say that your words to Atlanta last week were moving and real and honest, and people were listening. And we just appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay, Michael.
I'm honored to be here.
Since Michael says mama said call you by your government name, I'm going to call you by your government name, Michael. But you know how we do it when you and I talk personally.
It's Killer and Shay.
Mike, you got the pulse of Atlanta. You know everything that's going on in Atlanta, good, bad, and indifferent. Tell me what the pulse is in Atlanta right now dealing with these protests and the killing of George Floyd.
First, I want to give some shots out to some organizations that are doing great work. One of them is Paul Kids. They're making sure kids stay fed and families have stuff like food, clothing, and shelter. Next Level Boys Academy, led by Gary Davis, that's making sure young black men avoid jail time, become better communicators with their families. And the New Georgia Project, who's making sure that the people that are out there protesting to the people who are in the Vidalia onion fields are making sure they're getting registered to vote. So after the protest, after the rioting, well-deserved too, after that these kids go on to become organizers and these young people galvanize at the elections and past the election. So that's what's going on. I want to just say from a street perspective, man, I've been seeing everybody from the brothers that hang into the Blue Flame to the people who watch the Georgia Gang on Sunday's political shows, galvanizing together, making sure that people have their rights and are protected from harms and injustice.
When I talked to you, I called you the other day when the riots and the protest, rebellion, whatever you want to call them, Mike, broke out. I called you and asked you how you're doing. Tell the people at home what you told me when I asked you how were you.
I was sick. I was beat up. I was defeated. I was scared for y'all. I rioted in '92, so I understand and I hold no criticism of. I just know that if you're from Georgia, like Shannon and I, you know that Atlanta, places like Atlanta and Savannah and even Macon can be places where blacks can actually have opportunity. And to see that the possibility that that might disappear. Whereas we on the ground, people like me, Tip, or brothers, even like if you turn to younger brothers like Lil Baby and Thug them and investing in their communities, if we don't have the opportunity to do that and we lose Atlanta, I fear Black America has lost like one of its last strongholds. So I was defeated, man, but I got a lot of good encouragement from you and others, and I appreciate it. I didn't want to get on the podium and talk. Had nothing in my positive in my mind to say. So like the old people say, I just spoke my heart, and I'm glad it resonated with people because I think we have an opportunity in Atlanta and in Georgia to redefine race relations, to redefine what's economically fair and right, and to redefine political affiliations and what they mean and how they can be helpful to people. And we have an opportunity to unite as a worker class and make sure that our kids can grow into a middle class and also grow wealth for our families and for our community. And I think if we lose sight of that and we lose that opportunity, we've lost it all.
So, Michael, I read that your father was a policeman. Did that have any impact on you at all as a kid?
Yeah. I was in elementary school. Your dad's a policeman. Your dad's your hero. I have a very brave cousin who was a high school quarterback who probably would have went on to play D1. He's tore his shoulder up, trained himself with a hurt shoulder to become a kicker, went to West Georgia, came out, and is on the SWAT team in Atlanta now. Have another cousin that's a commander down in East Point. So I'm from a historical standpoint, let me qualify. There once was a time where black people were not policed by black people in Atlanta. They were hurt, they were murdered, the police stood aside as riots happened. We got an original 8 policemen about 67 years ago. Those 8 policemen were not allowed to be armed. They were forced to dress in the YMCA because people did not want to dress with black people. So we suffered a lot to have some ownership of our community. We suffered a lot to be policed by people who look like us. You know, we suffered. So I respect respectful officers like Detective Williams, the late great. I respect respectful officers like one of the highest ranking officers. I believe he was a Major Ball, who lived in my community. I respect it because I understood how hard it is to be a policeman and represent government and still maintain your integrity as a black man. So I honored that, you know. So my dad and my cousins, I honored that. I could never do the job, but I'm not gonna talk down on good men. But I am gonna single out bad behavior. Rotten apples ruin whole barrels, and it is time to cut out the cancer that is Jeff Sessions called white Anglo-Saxon Protestant history. If that is the way policing is thought of in this country, then I remind everybody that policing began with slave catching.
So your response to what Drew Brees said yesterday?
My response I gave on Jalen's show, on another show. And Drew is tied to the whipping post, and deservedly so at this point. My response yesterday was, he's an incredibly intelligent quarterback who said something incredibly stupid. But I need Americans to know that this stupidity is taught to you all. And I'm talking to, let me tell you, I'm talking to white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Americans now. You've been lied to. You've never read the Cornerstone speech. You've only heard about the war of northern aggression. Read what the vice president of the Confederacy said about the founding of the Confederate nation. He literally said that it is founded under the principle that whites are superior and therefore should dominate and enslave black people. That's in that speech. But you don't know that. So you're not, how can you have empathy when you haven't been educated? Drew Brees has no idea that the Jane Elliott blue-eye, brown-eye experiment exists. I would recommend to Drew medicine right now, because I already pulled out the belt and give you spanking, and that's when you sit down and you get told why you were spanked. I want you to go to YouTube, Drew. I want you to turn your phone off for an hour, and I want you to watch the blue and brown eye experiment by Jane Elliott. There's no way you're going to walk away from that feeling the same. I want to tell white Americans that you're being given propaganda every day, because you see kneeling as disrespectful of a flag in a lot of cases, but you don't see a Budweiser commercial with flags on the booty shorts. You don't see that as disrespectful or a flag bikini. But all those things are said not to be done. We're told not to do those things. When we make a flag bucket cap, we're not supposed to do that, yet we do it. So I'd just like to encourage us to back off nationalism and remember that the human beings that are across from us are part of this tapestry that make America. And if we put a flag over human life, or if we put a flag over the way we protest human life, then we are truly disconnected from humanity, and we're going down a nationalistic road, much like fascism of Nazi Germany of old. People cared more about nationalism than they did the human beings that they were marching into death camps. We cannot care more about a flag than we care about seeing a 225-pound man place his total body weight on the neck of another man as he screams for God, his mother, and gasps for air and asphyxiates like some type of painful porn in front of us. A flag's not worth that. Any flag. If a flag does not truly represent the people, giving us all our constitutional rights, then the flag is not worth it.
And that was my point earlier when Skip and I was talking. I said the flag is supposed to be a representation of the values of a country, and that everybody falls up under that flag. Everybody gets treated the same. Everybody has the same opportunity. Well, if that's not the case, why do you get upset when the people that feel that they're being oppressed, that they feel they're being unheard and do not have those rights and liberties? Why do you get upset with them if they don't get all goo-goo and gaga over the flag like you, who have been represented by that flag?
Black Americans love this country. Black Americans have worked their butt off. I don't care if the sacrifices of soldiers in the war. I don't care if the sacrifices of Tuskegee Airmen or the men who suffered from the Tuskegee experiment. One group of men flew planes on the behalf of this country and made sure this country stayed free. The other group of men suffered in the indignity of having to live with a sexually transmitted disease until they died so a government can study it. So we have to understand the sacrifices that have been made before we finally make these sweeping statements. I just want all Americans, and especially Drew, and especially white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Americans, to watch the blue and brown eye experiment by Jane Elliott. Mm-hmm. Allow yourself to learn. Allow yourself to touch and have empathy, so you can learn that you've been made to be apathetic. You don't know no better, so it's time you know better now. Mm-hmm. The same way you study that playbook, I want you to go to YouTube, study that experiment, so you can understand truly what your teammates and the people who've helped make you a world champion go through away from the field and out of that stadium.
So where do we, Mike, from moving forward, where do we go next?
Well, I want to say that if you study the 6 steps of, if you study the 6 steps of Kenyan nonviolence, the final one is resolution. So in matters of Drew Brees, in matters of, did you guys hear me? We still here?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, in matters of Drew Brees, I say he should seek to truly understand, he should seek to learn, and he should seek to reconcile. In matters of this nation, there is a reconciliation that is due to the Black community. It begins with conversations about things like HR 40 and pushing through a comprehensive study that will give us the reparations that we deserve. It begins with how does the education system change to tell the truth to all 5-year-olds so that we don't have 15-year-olds that are ignorant and that are polarizing in the high school cafeterias and gyms. It begins by saying financially, what are we going to do to make sure that this community starts to enjoy some of the benefits of having donated so much to this country in blood, sweat, and tears? And if we're not starting there, and if we're not talking about there, and if we don't have an agenda from our community that's truly respected and valued by the political parties we're voting for, then we're still where we were 100 years ago, and shamefully so.
And Michael, quickly back to your last point, you've many times brought up Jane Elliott, and for those who don't know, she was a white teacher in Iowa who shortly after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King conducted a little classroom experiment, the blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment, where she separated her white students to try to make the brown eyes feel like they were the minority. This is what it feels like to walk in the shoes of a black.
Well, the blue eyes felt like they were the minority. The brown eyes.
I'm sorry, I got it backwards. That's right. Yeah, and so why did it move you so much the first time you saw it?
Because as black people, we get tired of being your teachers. As black people, we get tired of serving you guys. You know, just to be frank and honest, man, it's not our responsibility to get rid of racism. Like James Baldwin said, we didn't invent the word. We didn't create these conditions. White society did that. And a white teacher should be your teacher. Now, we are definitely your co-conspirators, your allies, friends and brothers, depending on who you talk about. LP, my rap partner, that's my brother. Some people politically just my allies. Some people who got a common goal are my co-conspirators. But white people need to be teaching white people. Because sometimes you only believe it when it's coming from somebody that look like you. You know, black people are tired of the burden of having to be the caretakers of this country, holding your hand when you're young, putting our arm around you. You know, if we play sports and get paid a little money, or rap and sing and dance, get paid a little money, somehow we're not supposed to speak to you. Like, what kind of foolishness is that? And then the same people will turn around and tell you the greatest president ever was a B-level actor named Ronald Reagan. We got a casino owner as the president of the United States right now. So you can't tell black people to keep taking care of me, understand me, give us time to progress. You need to be taught. You need to be taught by a teacher. This woman is an educator. She said we could eradicate racism in this country in 20 years if we really wanted to. If you look at it, that's pre-K through 12th grade is about 19 years. If you do your nursery and then mix it with your 12 years high school, you're going to go into roughly education 12, 13 years, maybe on up to 19 if you do college. If you educate all along the way, you can eradicate racism. But somebody still profits from racism. Police departments get paid more money when crime is up. So my brothers who run nonprofits in LA say when we really reduce crime, they take our funding. And then crime pop back up, and then we get a little more funding. And the police get more funding too. So it's time to stop the Ponzi scheme. It's time to stop building private prisons. It's time that we have special prosecutors that come to places like Brunswick, Georgia, where the prosecutors and whoever the guy who thought he was a policeman are so connected that he won't get prosecuted after hunting a black man like an animal with 2 more white men. It's time that we started appointing special prosecutors to come in from out of the district and prosecute. Black people just tired. We tired. How much do we have to do for you before you do something for yourself? Before you say, I'm going to self-educate myself. I'm going to listen to Jane Elliott. I'm going to listen to Tim Wine. I'm going to listen to old speeches by Eugene Debs. I'm going to read Ida B. Well. I'm going to start to learn from Lucy Parsons. The last 2 people were black because they black women, and I believe that they should hold more leadership positions too.
But Killer Mike, you know America was founded on having somebody to look down on. That's what slavery provided. That's what we have. We got to have somebody. LBJ said, if you can convince the lowest white that he's as good as the best black, you can rob him. He said, hell, if you give him somebody to look down on, he'll empty his pockets for you. That's what was happening. We've been provided, they've been provided someone to look down on. Who do they look down on? Us and minorities. So you got to have somebody to look down on. If you're in racism, who are you going to look down on, Killer Mike?
Now, I remember having a conversation with Senator Bernie Sanders and him saying, Michael, you know, at the time we were marching for workers' rights, or they were marching for workers' rights in Mississippi, and vehemently against it were poor white men who would have benefited from those rights and would have benefited from unions. And at the time that they were vehemently protesting against the black men whose rights would have gotten everyone right? At the time, they were the lowest paid white workers in the nation. And back to what Skip said, back to what that wise man said, if you would have stood in solidarity together, it would have been better for everyone. But because you chose not to, you'll never break the stronghold of the NFL. And this country's like this. If we stand in solidarity together, that fair is fair. I may not agree with what you're saying or how you say it, but I respect and I support your right to say it based on the First Amendment. I may not like how you feel about firearms, but I respect and support your right to own them according to the Second. I may want to see slavery gone for real. And if I really want that, I'm going to work to get the 13th Amendment changed. But what I have realized about this country is we talk the talk, but when it's time to walk the walk, everybody goes to sit back down. But it's time that we walk the walk all the way through now. It's time that we make sure that everyone can enjoy the constitutional rights that are promised so we can truly be the greatest nation on earth. Otherwise, we still aspirational. You love LeBron. I love Kobe. Ain't nobody Jordan, though.
So, Michael, go deeper for us about the message behind the words on your shirt right now.
Kill your masters. My master right now is sugar, so I'm working out and trying my best to beat it. All right. So and you know, as our country tries to grow into the GOAT like Michael Jordan, I'm trying to grow into a slimmer Mike. But kill your masters is this. Kill your masters is this. It's the principle of that we share the same master class. At the time that slavery existed, there was a planter class in the South. And the planter class helped promote that LBJ quote. They were 100 years before, but they helped promote the fact that if I can get the poorest white man to be a taskmaster, cracking a whip over a black man, I'll keep control over these blacks and poor whites. And what we have to understand is that we have the exact same masters. The same people that don't want to give you your rights for whatever your particular difference is have denied my rights for 400 years. The same people that would like to marginalize your neighborhood based on the fact they like to develop it 20 years later have done that to my neighborhood. If we do not share as allies a common ground to fight our masters united, we will continue to be dominated by them. And that's what people need to understand. And how arrogant. If any white person on the other side of this television thinks that this shirt is about them, please know that in America, man, money makes you a master. And I'm very comfortable as a rapper singing and dancing. You, as a working class white person, have a master. So don't be arrogant enough to think this shirt is about white people. I've never had a white master. I've grown up in a black city. All my heroes and villains have been black people. But if I had a politician that was acting as a master and doing wrong, then I voted for the other politician. If I had a job that broke up my union, then I fought like hell to get a union. No matter what my union members look like. That's killing your master. When dominant corporate stores are coming in, knocking out your local coffee shops, your local mom and pop shops, when you choose to support them, that's killing your master. As black people, if you shift one of your accounts to a black bank like Citizens Trust Bank in Atlanta or One United, you are killing your financial masters. We did a black bank thing. Me, T.I., Usher, a lot of brothers in Atlanta, Young Thug came out, rah-rah. We did a black banking challenge. That black banking challenge made Wells Fargo come out and allocate $60 million to black mortgages. Not minority mortgages, not people of color mortgages, black mortgages. That is killing your master.
Bro, Mike, we appreciate you coming on and dropping that knowledge on us, bro. We really appreciate it. Come back soon.
Love you, man.
Love and respect. Have a good morning.
But you dead wrong. You know good well, Brian the GOAT. Brian the GOAT.
Kobe Yassi.
Michael, thank you so much for your words. I can't talk for Shannon getting that last thing in there. And the list of everything you suggested we watch and read and listen to and learn, I'm going to make sure we get that list out there. So thank you for being a positive voice in this
Thank you,
movement.
Skip. I got to say thank you for that statement during those times, Skip. You'll never know what that meant.
God bless you, man. Thank you.
We appreciate it, Michael.
Love and respect. Y'all have a good morning.
I'll holler at you, killer.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.